With NASA's Artemis II mission now complete, attention has shifted to what comes next for Artemis III, Artemis IV, and Artemis V. In this video, I'll break down exactly what lies ahead with a detailed analysis of each mission and the latest official statements from NASA. The next 2 years in space exploration are going to be unlike anything since the original Apollo era. And unlike Apollo, this time we're not going just to win a race and come home. We're going to stay. Everyone's asking the same question. Okay, cool, but when do we actually land on the thing? Because here's the dirty little secret about Artemis II. As breathtaking as it was, nobody touched the moon. Nobody walked on it. Nobody planted a flag. Nobody tripped on a crater. It was technically the world's most expensive sightseeing trip, from parking lot practice runs in Earth orbit, to boot prints on the lunar South Pole, to humanity's first attempt at building a house 238,000 miles from home. Buckle up, this is going to be a wild ride. Artemis I and II, quick recap, where we just came from. Artemis I was the first major test flight of NASA's Artemis program and marked humanity's return to deep space exploration beyond low Earth orbit. Launched in November 2022, the uncrewed mission sent the powerful Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft around the moon before safely returning to Earth. The mission successfully tested critical systems, such as navigation, heat shielding, communication, and long-duration operations in deep space. Building on that success, Artemis II became the first crewed mission of the program, sending astronauts around the moon and back. Unlike Artemis I, Artemis II carried a human crew aboard Orion to test life support systems, crew operations, and overall spacecraft performance in deep space, paving the way for future lunar landings under upcoming Artemis missions. Artemis III, the dress rehearsal. Target launch, mid-2027. Let's be honest, when Artemis III was first announced years ago, it was supposed to be the mission, the moonwalk, the boot on the surface moment, the "we're back, baby" headline. Instead, in February 2026, NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman walked up to the podium and essentially said, "Yeah, we're not doing that anymore." So what is Artemis III now? Well, it's an Earth orbit docking test. The crew will launch on the SLS rocket in Orion, float around in low Earth orbit, and practice docking with one, possibly both, of the commercial lunar landers being built by SpaceX and Blue Origin. That's right, Earth orbit, not the moon, not lunar orbit, not even close to the moon. NASA is basically comparing it to Apollo 9, the 1969 mission, where astronauts tested the lunar module in Earth orbit before Apollo 11 actually landed, which is a fair comparison. Apollo 9 was crucial, but you try telling a public that waited 54 years for humans to go back to the moon that the next step is a parking lot drill. Now, why is this happening? 2 words: Starship delays. SpaceX's Starship human landing system, the absolutely enormous 164-foot-tall rocket lander that's supposed to take astronauts from lunar orbit down to the surface, is still in development. As of early 2026, Starship has yet to reach Earth orbit on its own. So the idea of strapping humans to it and flying the moon was described by an aerospace safety advisory panel as, and I quote, high risk. Blue Origin's Blue Moon lander, also still in development. Both vehicles need to pass NASA's human rating certification process before anyone sits inside them for a trip to the moon. So Artemis III has been redesigned as a hands-on technical test. The crew, whose identity NASA will reveal closer to launch, will practice rendezvous and docking, test the Axiom spacesuits, the next-generation moonwalking suits, and put both landers through their paces in a relatively safe environment of Earth orbit. Artemis IV, humanity's actual return to the moon. Target launch, early 2028. Now, this is the one, after 56 years. After Apollo 17's Eugene Cernan became the last human to leave footprints on the lunar surface in December 1972. Artemis IV is scheduled to be the first crewed lunar landing since Apollo 17. Let that sink in for a moment. Here's how it works. And it's genuinely one of the most complex operations ever attempted by our species. First, SpaceX will launch Propellant Storage Depot into Earth orbit. Then they will launch between 10 and 15 additional Starship tanker flights just to refuel it. It's essentially a gas station in space. Then the actual Starship human landing system launches separately, docks with a depot to fill its tanks, and flies itself to lunar orbit, where it will wait, patiently, like a very large, very expensive delivery driver who arrived early. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the SLS rocket launches with 4 astronauts inside Orion. They fly to the moon, dock with the waiting Starship lander in lunar orbit, and then 2 astronauts climb into Starship and descend to the lunar surface. The destination? The moon's South Pole region. And why the South Pole, you ask? Because it might be one of the most valuable pieces of real estate in the entire solar system. In the permanently shadowed craters near the lunar South Pole, there is water ice, billions of years old, untouched, frozen in darkness since before the dinosaurs existed. That ice could be converted into drinking water for astronauts. It could be split into oxygen for breathing and hydrogen for rocket fuel. Basically, find the ice, you find the ability to refuel on the moon. And if you can refuel on the moon, you can launch missions deeper into the solar system without dragging everything from Earth. NASA has identified 13 candidate landing regions near the South Pole. The 2 astronauts on the surface will spend approximately 1 week there, conducting at least 2 moonwalks, collecting samples, deploying instruments, and making history with every single step. Then they ascend back to Orion in lunar orbit, and all 4 crew members fly home together. Is 2028 realistic? Experts have raised eyebrows. An independent safety advisory panel noted early this year that the Starship development timeline cast doubt on the current schedule, but NASA is pressing ahead. If it happens, it won't just be a milestone for NASA. It'll be a milestone for our entire species. The moon, for the first time, will not just be a destination. It'll be the beginning of something permanent. Artemis V, where it gets truly wild. Target launch, late 2028. If Artemis IV is humanity returning to the moon, Artemis V is humanity deciding to stay. This is the mission where NASA is expected to begin construction of a permanent moon base. Not just a flag, not just a footprint, an actual base, with infrastructure on the moon. Artemis V will be the 4th crewed mission and 2nd lunar landing, with Blue Origin's Blue Moon lander expected to carry 2 astronauts to the South Pole for the 2nd time. But the big new element is the Lunar Terrain Vehicle, a pressurized rover that will allow astronauts to explore kilometers away from their landing site. Unlike the Apollo lunar rovers, which were glorified electric golf carts, this is a proper vehicle designed for extended surface operations. And this is also when the $20 to $30 billion moon base plan, unveiled by NASA Administrator Isaacman, starts to become real. The goal is to eventually establish a permanent, sustainable outpost near the South Pole, an outpost that exploits the local water ice, an outpost that could serve as a staging point for missions to Mars. After Artemis V, NASA's plan is 1 lunar mission per year, every year, expanding the base, extending stays, building the infrastructure for humanity's next chapter. Is this ambitious? Wildly. Is it expensive? Enormously. Is it possible? We'll find out. The billionaire space race subplot nobody can ignore. We should probably talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the 2 elephants. One named Elon, one named Jeff. SpaceX and Blue Origin are in a very real, very expensive race to be the ones that carry NASA astronauts to the lunar surface. SpaceX won the original Artemis III contract back in 2021. Blue Origin protested, sued NASA, and lost. And then was eventually awarded a separate contract worth $3.4 billion to develop the Blue Moon lander for use on Artemis V and beyond. So now we have a situation where Artemis IV will likely use Starship HLS, and Artemis V is expected to use Blue Origin's Blue Moon, with SpaceX's lander being evaluated as a backup. Lander readiness will determine which provider safely carries them. NASA said diplomatically, whoever's ready first gets the flag planting moment. Elon Musk, who now runs SpaceX and also happens to be a senior government advisor, is obviously not a disinterested party here. Jared Isaacman, the NASA administrator, is a former SpaceX customer. The relationships are cozy, but honestly, competition is good. 2 providers means redundancy. If one lander has problems, there's a backup. And having two billionaires' egos on the line might actually be the rocket fuel NASA needs to hit its 2028 deadline. Look, it's easy to be cynical about all of this. The delays, the billions of dollars, the toilet that broke on a $4 billion spacecraft, the fact that it took us 54 years to even fly around the moon again. But here's what's real. Artemis II just proved that humans can travel deep space, sustain life, and come home. That wasn't guaranteed. That was genuinely hard, and 4 people put their lives on the line to prove it worked. Artemis III will prove we can dock with the next-generation landers. Artemis IV will prove we can land and survive on another world. Artemis V will prove we can build there. And in the background, the real reason all of this matters is China. China has announced plans for a crewed lunar landing by 2030 as part of their Chang'e program. They are not bluffing. They have been methodically expanding their space program for decades, and they have made the moon a national priority. The Artemis program isn't just science, it's geopolitics too. It's about who establishes the rules for what happens on the moon, who controls access to the water ice, who sets the terms for resource extraction, who builds the infrastructure that future missions depend on. 50 years ago, America won the space race and planted a flag. Today, the stakes are much, much higher. If you like this, click the thumbs up. If you didn't like this, click it twice to really show me who's boss. Drop a comment to argue with people you've never met. And subscribe to ensure your notifications are as cluttered as your desktop.